Old rivals Bill O'Reilly and Jon Stewart sparred on The Daily Show, reuniting on the show for the first time in a decade. O'Reilly, former Fox News host, came out swinging against one talk show for the way they portrayed the gunman. Let's watch.
So this kid, 20 years old in Pennsylvania, we don't know what caused him to do that. We knew he was a miserable kid who was bullied and all of this stuff, right? We all know that. But we don't get into, oh, he's a Republican. That's the first thing they said on The View. The first thing they said on Monday on The View, he's a Republican. Stop it. That does nobody any good, all right?
But Bill, let me push back a bit. Look, you and I are both somewhat fossilized practitioners of the rhetorical arts that are confrontational at times, provocative at times, and we made a really spectacular living pushing those envelopes. It seems now to say, hey, these other people should stop.
The two also discussed whether it was even possible to tone down the rhetoric given these times we live in.
How can we have a conversation about rhetoric if we can't even agree, if there are delusions of it's really only them? I mean, when I watch the guy from the Heritage Foundation say, the revolution will be bloodless if the left, allows that.
Right.
And you're just like, what are we doing here? Some of the fears of people are justified. Tens of millions of women lost access to reproductive choice based on the decisions of that party. Those are real life consequences of great gravity and weight. How do we talk about those in a way so that you're able to express it?
It's not difficult to talk about it, and you don't have...
It seems like it is.
See, the mistake that you made, one of the many...
Yeah. Understood.
You're trying to get the fringe people in to be reasonable. You're never going to do that.
The Heritage Foundation lead is not the fringe. And when I watch...
No. It is. The people don't know what that is. Most Americans, I put the number at 70%, are good people. Don't want acrimony. They don't want violence.
I don't doubt that.
Those are the people you play to, not the fringe people who are just out there wanting to, as I said, destroy the other party.
Bill O'Reilly and Jon Stewart reunited again. They used to, go back and forth. Jon Stewart would attack Bill O'Reilly a lot. Bill O'Reilly would attack him. I remember watching them argue about the rapper Common and whether he was supporting, was it Assata Shakur? I don't know, somebody who accused of murder. I don't even remember. But they always were fun to watch, entertaining. Maybe before your time, Jessica. I don't know that you were watching a lot of politics in the height of the Jon Stewart era. I think you were not.
No, I learned of Jon Stewart very late in my life. I think it was only over the past few years that I knew who he was. That's nothing personal about him, just never really cared to watch comedy.
He's going to be devastated.
Yeah.
He's going to be crying himself to sleep tonight.
He's a regular viewer of Rising, actually. But yeah, it sounds like these two really went at it. Jon Stewart ended up walking off laughing at the end of the interview and said, we were able to disagree without hating each other, but now I truly hate him. So an interesting back and forth from them. A lot of liberals were pissed that they reunited. Oh, this guy, Bill O'Reilly, is someone who's been accused of abusing women, and he's old, and Jon Stewart's against the gerontocracy, and all of these reasons for why he shouldn't platform Bill O'Reilly. And I think that's absurd. You're not platforming Bill O'Reilly's ideas. They're well represented in the public. You're just having a conversation across ideologies, which shouldn't be a problem. I mean, we do it every day.
Exactly. Bill O'Reilly is someone I've always been a fan of his commentary. He's kind of got that, I'm sure he would agree with this, grumpy, crabby, older next-door neighbor vibe who absolutely represents and speaks for a lot of people in this country. He's actually not an extremely ideological figure. He's had deviations from even, he's a Republican, he's broadly on the right, he's disagreed, clashed with people on the right numerous times. I was, my first TV appearance ever was on his show, although it was being guest hosted by a different Fox commentator, Dana Perino. So I was not on with him. He's on sometimes on our parent company Nexstar, News Nation. He's been on with Cuomo a number of times. I think they have a good banter. I think he's an astute observer of American politics with a lot of interesting things to say. So it absolutely, to me, makes sense to platform him. He's someone who's very good at the art of talking on television. I disagree with him all the time. I used to disagree with him. I used to watch his show on Fox a lot, and I would disagree with a lot of what he had to say. He was very much a drug warrior. I'm libertarian for the legalization of drugs, but he would bring people on to argue about it, and sometimes it would get heated. But I find him entertaining and interesting, and I think, as you said, it's good when people of strongly held views actually do argue with each other on TV. That almost never happens anymore. Our show is one of the only shows that regularly does that day after day after day after day with a wide range of perspectives, given all the other guest hosts and commentators and guests we have in the mix. Media companies have stopped delivering that, even though viewers want to see it and audiences appreciate it, because I think it's difficult for everyone involved. It's difficult for the creative personalities. It's not fun to we yell at each other pretty respectfully, but that's not always been the case for the other person in the chair and I, and it's hard to do it. And maybe, I don't know, it makes higher ups uncomfortable at some point, or maybe it's hard on the staff to do it. It can be hard on the staff to do it because you have different people of very different ideologies wanting to push their stories and having arguments over what exactly to cover. It's easier if just everybody's on the same page, everyone's right wing and the host is right wing, or everybody's left wing and the host is left wing. But I think it's much more rewarding and makes a better product to not do that, do what they're doing in their own kind of more, they're not left wing and right wing, they're kind of a little bit more to the center than we are,
us,
probably.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. You're on the libertarian right side. I'm an actual leftist. Not many actual leftists have a seat on a news show, so I feel very lucky to be in this position. And the types of things we disagree about are very different from what Bill O'Reilly and Jon Stewart talked about. Right. We were just going back and forth on whether or not Elon Musk should have a company town and what is real freedom. They got in a disagreement about if Donald Trump hadn't denied the election results and hadn't done that in reference to January 6th, that he'd be up 25% in the polls, and that's what angered Jon Stewart on the show, which is just very different from any kind of exchange we would have.
Right.
But an interesting
I agree
point
with
from
that.
Bill O'Reilly.
January 6th was bad, and Trump shouldn't have done it, and he would be up 25 points if he had not.
Yeah, he pulled out his proof for his statement, and it was just reading out the changes in prices during the Biden administration. that is what his evidence is, that Trump would be up 25% in the polls.
That was an O'Reilly point? Yeah,
that was an O'Reilly point,
I agree with him.
I don't know if that means that Trump would be up 25%.
I don't know if he'd be up 25 points. He did not do himself any favors by engaging in that behavior. The people I know who are generally Republican leading and want to vote Republican, they're the one remaining hang-up for people who are inclined to vote for Trump is the behavior on January 6th. I don't know that that's going to end up holding back a lot of people at this point, but it certainly did not help him, and it probably hurt him.
Right. It's interesting to imagine that world. I can't, because that's who Trump is. He's the guy that when he loses, he says it was rigged. And so any other result from the 2020 election, I don't think it would have been a real Donald Trump. So I can't imagine that world. Bill O'Reilly, we don't have that guy.
Well, I don't think we'll get to imagine that world in 2024 because Trump's just going to win cleanly. But if he does not win, then who knows? All bets are off. We could have another fun January 6th storming of the Capitol disaster. No, that'd be horrible. I so hope it doesn't happen. I hope both Trump and Biden accept the results of the election. I hope that it's a fair election and we don't have any more of that strife. Please, God.
I, too, hope that Trump and Kamala Harris accept the results of the 2024 election and whoever her running mate is. Okay. That does it for us today. Well, this morning on Rising. Not for the day, because I'm going to be back with Amber Athey, who is being a convention creature there at the RNC. So stay tuned. We're going to react to J.D. Vance's big speech.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any of our content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere that you can get your podcasts. I'll see you back here tomorrow with Jessica. You can see Jessica and Amber tonight. See you later.
Bye, y'all.